Hello everyone, and welcome to the Doom 1 Ultimate config and tech video. So I'm going to get my notes open here and my folder view of how we're going to install and set everything up. In this video we will be setting up Doom 1 Ultimate. We'll also be setting up Doom 1, Sigil 1, and Sigil 2. General settings and advanced where needed. You can expect this video to be long and dense with information. I'm guessing this will be my longest config and tech video so far. This will hopefully put the game in the best playable state it can be. Any links that are covered will be in the description of the video. Let me get down here to the next thing. So preliminary setup explanation. Files .wad or .wad. You're going to need 3 .wad files for all of this to work. Please see my Doom 1 Ultimate introduction video for information on where to get them. Doom 1 .wad needs to be Doom 1 Ultimate to get the 4th episode, Thy Flesh Consumed. Sigil 1 .wad and Sigil 2 .wad. GZDoom front end and source ports. These days you can't just load up Doom the way you used to. Doom came out before Windows 95 and used a DOS prompt. Hardware is a lot different now than it was in 1993. We have widescreen monitors, televisions, not to mention modding in PC gaming is a big thing now. There are at least 8 or so different source ports out there. Whether they're all currently up to date, I don't know. Chocolate Doom comes to mind because of the name. I would bite an imp's right ass cheek if it was made of chocolate. Some of the source ports try to push the limits of the Doom id Tech 1 engine, while others try to stick to the original look and feel of Doom 1. GZDoom, formerly ZDoom, falls somewhere in the middle. I've not personally used any of the other source ports, so my knowledge is limited to GZDoom only. Get to the next thing here. So, GZDoom setup explanation. First, let's create 8 folders we're going to need for GZDoom. Just place each one on your desktop and we'll sort them in a bit. So label the first one just Doom or Doom 1 if you like. This will be your root folder. You can see up here on my folder, my root folder that I'm talking about here. I've labeled mine Doom 1-Doom 2. Doom 2 works the same as Doom 1 and in the future will end up in this folder anyway, but it's not entirely important. Just name it something that will become your base folder. Then you'll make a Doom 1 Ultimate. This will be your Doom 1 folder. A Doom 1 Sigil 1, your Sigil 1 folder. And Doom 1 Sigil 2, your Sigil 2 folder. GZDoom dash, put the dashes in there too, especially here. GZDoom dash settings, this will be your configuration file folder. That's what I should have said here. Configuration file, well, we know we're making folders. Then make another one called mods. This is where you'll store your mods that we'll get in the modding video. A WAD folder, WAD extraction, extractor. Make a WAD extractor folder. This is a utility tool. And then make a WADs folder. This is where you will store your .wads. So these are your 8 folders that you need to make. And just leave them on your desktop. I'll show you what to do with them here momentarily. The Doom folder names don't matter, it's just for separation. In the future you may want to add Doom 2, so name folders appropriately. and this is my root path, for example. So as you can see to the left here, that's where Doom 1 Ultimate's going to be, and then Sigil 1 and Sigil 2 are separated, so each one has their own folder. Folder structure example I will show you here momentarily. And yeah, that's actually it. So we're going to look at that now. Let's take a look at where the folders need to go that you created. So I made this for you guys here to look at. This is my main install of stuff, which we'll look at. But so here's the main Doom folder, your root folder that everything is going to go into. Like I said, call it whatever you want. Doom 1, Doom 1-Doom 2, or just Doom. And then in here, this is where you will put Ultimate, Sigil 1 and Sigil 2. And then in each inside of each one of those folders, Doom 1 Ultimate you'll start with. You need to put GZDoom -settings, mods, WAD extractor, what did I say? GZDoom -settings, your mods, WAD extractor, and WADs folder inside the Doom 1 Ultimate folder. So you're not going to have anything else inside of these yet, but we will put things in them. But I need you to make these for me and for yourself so that all this will work and make sense. So put those four. Once you've made them in Doom 1 Ultimate here, highlight them all, right click, copy, and then go back to your Sigil 1, paste those in there, go back, go into your Sigil 2 and paste those in there. So then you'll have the same folder, same four folders in each one, games folder. And then if you back up again, you're back into your main folder. So I hope that makes sense. So that's the how-to segment, folder structure example. So we can go back here. So with your folder structure in order, let's move on to downloading and installing GZDoom, the front-end / mod loader that we're going to be using to run Doom. Note, don't get overwhelmed with all the folders and files. I'll go down each one with you. Just stick with me until the end and it will all make sense one way or another. You can always reach out to me in the comments if you need help. I always have Doom 1 and Doom 2 installed on my PC, so I can try and help you work out an issue if I can recreate it. Alright, GZDoom download and configuration. I'm trying to get to the next lines if I can, okay, because then I know the next section's coming up. GZDoom download and configuration. So download, I'm using for the playthrough you're going to watch, if you watch it. I'm going to be using GZDoom version 4.11.3. This will take you to the download page link. This will be in the description of the video because obviously it needs to be there for you to click it. It's just here for my purposes and to remind myself to put it in the description of the Config and Tech video. So get at least version 4.11.3 or the newest, whatever's out currently. But at least that version, because then it should at least play well for you, according to me being able to get through the game using this version. So download that, open the GZDoom.zip you downloaded, and drag everything into each of the 3 folders you made. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to go inside of my Doom 1 Ultimate folder now. Just ignore all of this at the moment. These are the folders you should see, that you should have right now, nothing else. I'm going to go into my mods folder here so that I can show you what the GZDoom.zip looks like and walk you through it. That's the wrong folder, mods. So you'll have this file here. It won't say GZDoom dash, but it will should say all this. Considering you're getting 4.11.3. I just added this in front of everything so I knew what I was looking at, because some of these have weird names in them. So we'll open this up here and look at it. Blinding white screen, and then we'll go back over here. So with these folders in here. These are what you should have in here right now, as well as this one. These 4 folders that I highlighted. Highlight everything over here and then drag it into here, into the empty space. And that will be included in here. And we'll go over that momentarily, but make sure all of these files get in here into the same area where all of these folders are. And we'll talk about the other folders. And congratulations, you've successfully installed GZDoom. And then you need to do the same thing again. I should have left it open. Hastily closed it. So you've done that in your Doom 1 Ultimate folder. Back out, go into Sigil 1. Same situation. You've got the same folders in here already. That's all you should have. Highlight everything and drag it in here and let go. Go back out of here, go into Sigil 2. Same situation, man. You'll have the same folders. Highlight everything and drag it in. So you're doing the same process 3 times. Okay? That installs GZDoom separately for Doom Ultimate, Sigil 1, and Sigil 2. Now we'll cover WAD files, or .wad. Now that you have installed GZDoom, you need to add the .wad files. Put the 3 .wad files I mentioned earlier that you will need in each WAD's folder as a backup. So, let's go in here. So for Doom 1 Ultimate, the file you'll need will be called doom1.wad. Put that into the WADs folder, and then also place each .wad into the corresponding game root folder for use. Please note that you need the Doom 1 WAD for all 3 games, even Sigil 1 and Sigil 2. You need it for all 3. So place it in the WADs folder first. This becomes your backup in case you lose it, anything happens, whatever. Because you might unpack the WAD and delete it on accident. You'll have a backup in your WADs folder. So put that in here, highlight it, right-click, copy, or on your keyboard press Control-C for copy. Go back to the root folder of the Doom 1 Ultimate, and then Control-V or right-click and paste, and then you'll have that file in here with the GZDoom files and stuff that you downloaded. These other files I'll discuss later. They're mods, basically. But you want your Doom 1 WAD in here, and you're in your WADs folder for backup. And you need to do the same thing for Sigil 1, Sigil 2. Except in Sigil 1's case, you'll need the Doom 1 WAD as well as the unique Sigil 1 at current. It's version 1.21. I changed the name a little bit. I think there was dashes. Actually, we can look. Mods. Yeah, here's the mod, the zip for Sigil 1. So this is, there's a Mac version and then PC version. I don't actually know. It's probably in the instructions. Read the text documents. I do advise that as well. WADs always usually come with text documents. I'm not sure what the compact version is, but you want this version. So I just took the dashes out of my WAD name, but it doesn't matter what they're named, just as long as it has the .wad. Okay, so make sure you put that in here. Then highlight both of these and copy them, and then you want to paste both of those into your Doom 1 Sigil 1 folder. So you'll have both files down here too. This is the files, the GZDoom. I'm going to stumble my letters when saying GZDoom as many times as I have to say it. GZDoom is going to utilize these 2 WADs to, run the game. These are just your backups. Same thing for Sigil 2, and same situation. You're going to have your Doom 1 WAD, but you're going to have a unique Sigil 2 version 1. I think it's version _0, so it's version 1. Copy both of those, paste them into the root of Sigil 2, and you'll have them down here with your GZDoom. Okay, so now you've installed the WADs that you need for Doom. Very important processes. If you didn't understand it or get it, and you're trying to follow along, then just, rewind the video and watch again. That's why I also include, the written formations here of things that I'm talking about. Let me take a sip of drink. So if you guys don't understand me talking, because maybe you don't understand English very well, that's totally understandable. That's why I'm giving you another form of understanding the information I'm trying to impart to you guys. If you can read English, then here you go. Okay. So now GZDoom is installed and the .wads are active. Let me back out of here. You'll need to run GZDoom once for each game, as each game has its own GZDoom.exe. Just start the game and hopefully it runs, and then exit the game. This will allow GZDoom to auto-generate some other folders and files that we need. It will also create the GZDoom.ini file, which loads all of the settings for Doom and GZDoom and your mods. So a very important step here. On a fresh install, you only got to do this once. It's just so it can generate the files that it needs to. You need to do this for all 3 games. So go into Doom 1. Of course, nothing's going to look right or work correctly. The resolution may look wrong. That's totally fine because it's not configured. We're going to configure things, but you need to do this first just for the file generation and folders. So go into DG. I was going to say DG Voodoo from another program, another game I had to use it on. Go to Doom 1 Ultimate. And with everything in here from what we've done, go ahead and execute your, I'm not going to do it on screen, but I want you to do it. Execute your GZDoom1.exe in your Doom 1 Ultimate folder. And then immediately press escape and exit the game. Back out of here, go into Sigil 1 and do the same thing for that one. Back out of here, go into Sigil 2 and do the same thing for that one. Alright. And then we're on to the next step here in the process. Went a little too far. So this is not part of installing or setting up GZDoom, but I wanted to include it, and I didn't really have any other area to put it, and this is where it ended up. So this is a WAD extractor download and usage. Download, I'm using version 2.1. This link will take you to it, and I'll show you here. It's actually in here. This is all it will be. It's just a WAD extractor.exe. It's not called that. It's called, what is it called? It's going to come in a zip file that looks like that, titled that. And it's titled wadext.exe, basically just WAD extractor. I just went ahead and gave it the full name of WAD extractor.exe. So get that, open the zip, and put the exe in your WAD extractor folder for all 3 games. Simply drag the, okay, let me get to that first. So go into Doom 1 Ultimate and go into the WAD extractor folder I had you create and drag and drop it in here. Rename it if you like. Go into Sigil 1, same thing. Sigil 2, same thing. Okay, so you have 3 copies of it in each game. Simply drag any .wad onto the WAD extractor.exe and it will unpack the files into a folder for you. Nice utility to have when you want to look into a .wad. I'll show you how to do that real quick. So you go into Doom 1 Ultimate. We'll use the Doom 1.wad as an example, so I'll Control-C copy. Go into the WAD extractor, paste it. So just take it, left-click, drag, and drop it on here. It'll do some processing, and then it will create a Doom 1 folder, whatever the WAD is called. In this case, Doom 1, that's what the folder will be called. Yes, so you open that and you're basically now looking at the structure of the files and folders that Doom 1 uses to operate and work. the original 146 items. This is 8.62, but it says size on disk 11.3. So, not very large by today's standards. 1,942 files, 8 folders. Flats is images, graphics, obviously graphics, map information, music, patches, which this would have because this is the ultimate Doom1.wad, so this is probably stuff that they've patched in specifically for Doom 1 Ultimate. Your sounds, the sprites. Sprites will be the enemies, items you pick up, things like that. And then I forget what LMPs are. So yeah, you can do this like any level you might download from doomworld.com, say, that you want to play for free. And don't forget that there's plenty, there's thousands of custom .wad levels, maps. Some are mega wads themselves that you can play on Doom and Doom 2. So definitely look at doomworld.com. Free, all kinds of levels. You can use this to unpack those wads as well and look at the custom information. So we'll delete that, And the next way you can go about it, if you don't want to do the drag and drop method, is you can associate the .wad file type with the wad extractor.exe. When you double click a .wad, it will create a folder in the same place as the .wad with the same name and unpack the files from the .wad. And fun fact, .wad stands for where's all the data, or where's all data. According to, I think John Romero said that from id Software. And so yeah, the way you would associate that with the program is go to the wad, right click it, just any wad, and say open with, and click choose another program or app. By the way, I'm still on Windows 10, so if things look old school, because they are, I haven't upgraded to Windows 11, and I don't really plan to until I get my new gaming computer, which I don't know when that'll be, but some point in the future I will need to upgrade my computer, and I'm going to relegate this computer to be a recording, not a recording, but a editing, uploading machine for YouTube, and then my new computer will be for, just recording gameplay and playing games. Anyway, open this up, and you can see it's already associated. It won't be in your list here because it's not the kind of program that you install regularly, because you just dragged and dropped it into a folder. You didn't install it first. So you'll have to go down to more apps, and you'll have to go to look for another app on the PC, search for it in the folders, go here into your folder into wad extractor. I just lost it. Lost my sorry about that. Clicked away. Search for it on your computer in the Doom 1 Ultimate or whatever you called your folder. Wad extractor and find it. Double click on find it and click it, and then check always use this app to open .wad files, and then it will permanently associate it with wad extractor.exe. Wad extractor doesn't have its own icon, so it's just going to have the general default Windows program.exe icon. But then when you double click the wad now, you can still drag and drop it if you like, but when you double click it, wherever the wad is, it'll do the same thing, but as you can see, it made the Doom 1 folder appear. So it's easier than having to drag and drop it. You still need the wad extractor exe to be on your computer, obviously, but associating the wad file with it, and it won't keep the game from running or anything like that. Makes it easy to extract it, but you also might have wanted to associate the .wad files to run GZDoom to play that particular wad, so you have to take that into consideration. Do you want to always extract wads when you double click it, or do you want to run that wad and play it? You'll have to pick one or the other. Okay. Next thing, folders and files explanation. Now let's take a look at the folders and files and see where we are with everything. So we're going to show a little how-to segment. So we're going to go through everything in here. And I'm going to use this as reference over here. So starting with FM banks. Used to store files related to making the .MIDI music work. At least I assume that, because most everything in here has the word MIDI in it. All of these things say MIDI. I've actually never seen a .wopl file before. I don't know what that is. And there's a WOPN specific to not Doom, but GZDoom. So this is just stuff that will already be here. Let me look, is it already here when you install? Yeah, it is. Those two folders, sound fonts and FM banks, should already be here. Save may not be until you run the GZDoom for the first time, and then everything else we created. Okay, so that's FM banks. This stuff is just in here. I didn't add any of this. There's nothing to add, tweak, edit, mod. Just leave it alone. You can look at the text documents if you want. GZDoom settings. Okay. This is going to be a settings location shortcut inside here. And this will lead to, we'll have to make this, leads to your gzdoom.ini file that GZDoom has created now and will reference for everything. So you need to make a shortcut to this. Put this folder shortcut in each of the 3 games GZDoom-settings folder, the one that we are in right now. Name this folder settings location, like I did here. So this is a folder shortcut. You can see the little arrow. Name it settings location, and this is the path. So if you go to this path on your computer, you know, given that you install Windows in your C drive, if it's a different drive, use F drive, whatever. It'll be in users, and then you need to change it to be whatever your username is on your PC. So if your username is Doom Lover, then you know, use that instead. And it will be in your Documents folder, and then in your My Games folder, and then in your GZDoom folder. And you'll have gzdoom.ini single file in that folder. I want you to make a shortcut to this folder, that path here, and call it settings location. And if you right click on it and look at properties, it'll show you right here. I'm using Penumb, short for Penumbra. That's my username. Documents, My Games, and then GZDoom. And it will take you to the folder, or the file when you double click it, and you will see this. Don't worry about any of this stuff in here. I'm going to discuss this later. You'll have this single highlighted file in here. Let me put it in list view. Okay. Now I need you to do this as I stated for all 3. Once you've made the shortcut, all you have to do, make it first in your Doom 1 Ultimate. Once you've created it, highlight it, Control Copy, right click, copy, back out, go to Sigil 1, go into GZDoom settings, and then right click, paste, or Control V and paste. Back out, go to Sigil 2, GZDoom settings, same thing. Put that shortcut in each one. That way in each one of your games, Doom 1 Ultimate, Sigil 1, Sigil 2, you can get into your GZDoom's INI configuration file. Let me take a drink. So you will use this folder shortcut. Let me get back in there. You will use this folder shortcut to easily swap out the GZDoom INI files depending on the game you are playing. This is so that any mods you are using will load accordingly. All the settings will be the same once we configure them for Doom initially. They will all apply to Sigil 1 and Sigil 2, but you need different mod loading orders because we'll be using different mod files. The GZDoom.ini that is in the folder with the settings location shortcut will become your master GZDoom ini for each game. It's not in here yet, but that's what I've created here that we will manipulate later. So don't worry about that. We'll get into it, but you will end up having a GZDoom.ini file in here also. And it'll be your master file, your master backup file, and you'll see. All right. Let's back out to the main root folder of Doom 1 Ultimate. And these are all going to be the same folders represented in Sigil 1 and Sigil 2 as well. So the next folder that we're at here to talk about is the mods folder I had you make. This one. So we will download and install mods in the modding video that will follow the config and tech video, and they will all go in here. Save. Stores your autosave and hard saves. And if the folder isn't there, create it now, but it should be once you've already ran the game. If it doesn't, though, make it. Sound fonts. A sound font is a file format that contains a collection of audio samples. Sound fonts are often used in digital music production to create realistic instrument sounds. You should have a gzdoom.sf2 file in this folder. I've messed around with some other sound fonts, but I like the GZDoom default the best. You can get other sound fonts to use in Doom 1 as long as they are in .sf2 format. They should work. These are configured in the game, and we will cover it later on in the video. Next folder is the WAD extractor. We already covered this earlier. It contains the WAD extractor .exe to unpack.wad files. And then the last folder is WADs. And we already covered this earlier as well. It contains backups of your .wad files. Okay. Now we will go over the loose files in the folder, meaning everything below it. So GZDoom.exe is your executable to play Doom 1 Ultimate, as well as in the case of Sigil 1 and Sigil 2. They each one have their own. And you can't rename it unless you make a shortcut. If you were to like drag and drop, create shortcut, then you could say, yeah, it's Doom 1, whatever. There you go. But this needs to stay named GZDoom.exe. Next thing you will have is 3 DLL files. Lib sound file, short for library sound file, something to do with sound. OpenAL32 is a sound thing, and so is ZMusic. All of these are DLL program files, kind of like, driver files for particular things to do with sound. Nothing to mess with them, just that's what they are. Blood.pk3 is a mod we will cover later. Bright maps. pk3.pk3 is basically a mod too, but it's included with GZDoom. It basically adds an effect, a lighting effect in the game. And you want to use it, and it's automatically loaded. You don't have to force this to load with your other mods. It's loaded by GZDoom automatically. Game support.pk3, same situation. And actually all of these right here. All of these come with GZDoom and are preloaded if they are needed. Yeah, so don't worry about them. Upscales, this is a mod I'll cover later. HUD is a mod. .pk3 or pk7 I will cover later. Blackgloves.wad is a mod. Doom1.wad is your Doom 1 game, your main important file that you must have. Musicmidi.wad is a mod, and sounds.wad is a mod. So WADs, or let's say mods, can be in PK3, PK7, .wad, and also .zip format, and all work. So you will see mods that are .wads themselves. And license.zip comes with GZDoom.exe, just covers the copyrights and, you know, legal stuff for the program GZDoom. Okay? So that covers all the loose files. Now we will start configuring GZDoom and Doom itself. I'll back out here. Just trying to get down to the next line. There we go. So now we're at GZDoom, the GZDoom.ini file I mentioned, that is in your GZDoom-settings folder in each of your folders here under settings location. Don't worry about these, and don't worry about this file right here. This is your configuration file, and this is where we are right now. See users, your username, documents, my games, GZDoom. So this file stores all the settings for GZDoom, as well as a mod list that you want to load into the game that you're playing. In older versions of GZDoom, you would have a GZDoom.ini file created and put in your folder with the GZDoom.exe you ran. Now GZDoom uses a single global GZDoom.ini file, just one. Technically, you can use one GZDoom.ini file for multiple Doom games. However, I prefer to separate my Doom game installs, if that makes sense. I just want to separate them. So yes, my method creates a little folder and file redundancy, but I feel it's easier to separate and modify the game this way. Also, Doom 1 doesn't take up a ton of space on your hard drive anyway. In the end, we'll have 3 different GZDoom.ini files we can just swap out depending on the game you are playing. This is the reason for the GZDoom-settings folder in the root folder of each game, so that they can store the custom GZDoom.ini for each game, Sigil 1, Sigil 2, and Ultimate, as well as take you directly to the place that you need to place that file to make it the one that the GZDoom program uses, since it only uses one file. Right. Where are we at here? Let's look at this file briefly so I can give you a visual explanation of what is in it. Okay, we're going to go over the file here. We'll open it up. It's just going to open up in a tab here. By the way, if you're interested, I don't always mention it, but I'm using Notepad++ for this, and it's very, very nice. I recommend it. It's better than Notepad and better than WordPad. Puts things in tabs, you know, like browsers do, and it gives you a nice dark mode so that you don't have the white background with black text. You have black background with white text. Makes it easier on the eyes. This program works very well, so I recommend it. It'll not uninstall or overwrite Notepad, but it will be alongside it in Windows. You can just associate .inis, configs, text files, whatever with it so that it will open. But it's free. To search it on Google and you can download it. So this is the GZDoom.ini. I recommend that you look over everything in here. It's not super long as far as ini files are concerned. But look over each heading and category. I'll go over it briefly here with you. This stuff here in the front is not overly important. This right here is. I want to read this to you here real quick. WAD files to automatically load depending on the game and iWAD you are playing. You may have files that are loaded for all similar iWADs, the game, and files that are only loaded for particular iWADs. For example, any files listed under Doom Autoload, which you can see here, will be loaded for any version of Doom, meaning any version of Doom. Doom 1, Doom 2, anything. but files listed under doom.doom2.autoload will only load when you are playing a Doom 2 based game. Example, doom2.wad, tnt.wad, or plutonia.wad. And files listed under doom1.doom2.commercial.autoload only when playing doom2.wad. So this can be a little confusing and you might be a little unsure where to place things. And I was that way when I first started using GZDoom. So I've gotten into the habit of just doing it this way, and I've separated my games to not all be together. So what I do and would just recommend you do, I'm saying you can still do one GZDoom.ini file for every game. It's just to make everything match and work the way I'm instructing you to. You need to do it this way, and this is how I do it. This is the mods. We're not getting into the mods yet, but this is where the mods are loaded, and this is the mods that I'm using. In the mod video, I will explain a little further but how this works, but this is basically where you put them to load them, and it will load it when I execute Doom. Okay? But then be aware, like the thing said here, you have Doom 2 auto load, and then if you make further way down here, you'll see other stuff like Hexen, another game that can be played through GZDoom, another game like Doom, Hexen. So if you wanted to play, Heretic, excuse me, Hexen is down here as well. Hexen's the sequel to Heretic. If you wanted to use mods for Heretic, that's where those would go. For Hexen, that's where those would go. For Strife, Chex, other games that you can play through GZDoom. Okay. The other important part real important part here is global settings. This is all the settings that GZDoom and essentially Doom are referencing that you can look at and manually tweak if you want, but 99% of this is going to be configured in the game, in Doom directly, which is where you configure GZDoom. You're not going to have to do this here line by line, but I wanted to show you where it is. And I will show you in the game how to configure GZDoom. There's a few things here. Let me take a sip of drink again. Apologies. I want to show you a few things here to make sure that you set these. Since we're already in here, go ahead and do it. These right here, I mentioned, I'll show them to you back here. Bright maps. So look here. Auto load bright maps and auto load lights. That references the brightmaps.pk3 and the lights.pk3. Make sure these both say true, otherwise these won't get used unless you manually load them up here into your mod load list, which you don't want to do and shouldn't have to do. You want to use these because these add improvements to the game. They come preloaded with GZDoom, so just make sure these both say true. Make sure auto load widescreen equals false, or auto load widescreen, make sure that equals false, because if you don't, it will stretch your title screen, and the title screen is going to be 4x3 with black bars on the left and right. That's just how it looks. But when we play the game through GZDoom, it's going to be stretched, but proportionately. They're not going to be, everything's not going to be warped widthwise. The game will, look and play proportionate to the resolution you pick. But you don't want the title screen stretched because it will warp that. Excuse me. So make sure this is false. I somehow had this on true, and it took me a little while to figure out this was what was causing it. So make sure that's false, okay? This will control autosaves, like the amount that you can have. I don't know what the default is, but I would recommend using at least 4 so that you have some to fall back on, because you can make quick saves when playing through GZDoom, and you can also just make hard manual saves in Doom whenever you want to anyway. You could do that in the original Doom, but you can also do autosaves now. So this dictates how many you'll have mess with. If you want two, just pick two for each one of these. I'm going to use 4. Anything else? Make sure your CL cap FPS equals false. Yes, make sure you do that. Don't cap the frame rate, because I would advise you and will direct you to use VSync in the game, which will lock the frame rate. This also reminds me in here, that's what this is. I want to show another NVIDIA setting. I have an NVIDIA GPU. I have a MSI RTX 2070 Super. That's my graphics card. So in NVIDIA, I can show you this setting, and it relates to frame rate. Let me open that real quick. It's going to be a blinding white screen, as it is. In your global settings for NVIDIA, this would also apply if you go to program settings and you have made a GZDoom.exe custom profile for some reason, which you don't need to. But if you have, you'll need to modify it there, because that will override the global settings. But in your global settings of your graphics card, I have this setting, background application max frame rate. I try to go for 60 FPS because I don't have 120 FPS capability. I have a 60 FPS or 60 hertz television, so I get 60 frame rate. So when I have a game minimized or not the focal point, but it's still running, I only want my FPS to be around 30, not pushing 60. So I have it set to drop to 30. So you can do that too if you want to do that. It's not important, but what the important part is the max frame rate location. I did have this set to 60. You'd have to put it on and then manually set 60, because for whatever reason NVIDIA puts it at 58. But I set it at 60, just thinking, yeah, I'll do that because I don't want anything above 60 anyway. And then down here, I would say with VSync, I have it set to use the 3D application setting. And if a game doesn't have VSync, then I will go into program settings and make a manual profile for the particular game, and then I will force VSync on to override the setting of not using it. But that's how I would normally handle it. But I found with GZDoom, having this setting on, which I did have it on, I had it set to 60, caused basically screen tearing in the game regardless. Even with VSync on in the game, and I also tried forcing it in the NVIDIA card, that didn't fix it. I still ended up with weird screen tearing and like stutter, and it was because I had max frame rate capped at 60 in here. So make sure that's off. This can be on 30 or off if you want it to be. It doesn't matter. And make sure your VSync is set to 3D application. You don't want to force it on because we're going to use it in GZDoom. But that's the setting I'm pointing out here, is that make sure that is not on. Make sure that's off. It will give you problems. At least it did for me. I'll be playing the game in OpenGL API anyway too. You do have an option in GZDoom. We'll discuss that later in this video. You do have an option to use Vulkan. I just really don't use Vulkan API right now for much of anything. Guess I'm not comfortable with it. It's good and powerful, just not comfortable using it. Anything else here? Like I said, everything else here we're going to cover. We will be setting. Yeah, we will be setting in the game itself. This particular setting here I wanted you to definitely check because I don't know where or what this setting is in the game. And it was causing, like I said, the title screen to be stretched. So I came in here to manually fix it. I don't know how or where to tell you to fix it in the game. Okay, so yeah, there's more here a little bit. So these are all, this controls everything. All your settings for GZDoom. And then here, I don't know what these really do. They say unknown. You can create a Doom player in the game for like multiplayer use, and this is the settings for those. So like the FOV I want to use, the color, if he's male, female, your name. This is all configurable in the game, but this is what it looks like here. And then you have some other things here that I recommend you look at, just to see what they are. Crosshair stuff. This is all the stuff that can be configured in the game. It's not all relevant. Here's all your Doom bindings, your keybinds. It's the controls. And then you also have auto map, which is like a map, basically. They called it an auto map in Doom, but it's the separate controls, keybinds for your auto map. Brutal Doom. Yeah, you got keybinds because you can kick in Brutal Doom, so they give you a kick command, flashlight. You get in that game, you can toss grenades. Here is your Heretic. Some of your Heretic settings for that game. I quite possibly will play those games in the future for sure. I've never played through Hexen or Heretic. I think I've played through Heretic. There's actually multiple Heretic games. Yeah, that is true. There's like 2 or 3 Heretic games and like 2 or 3 Hexen games. I've not played through all of them, but they're very cool. They're like Doom, but kind of more like Castle Gothic. They're very good. If you're unaware of Heretic and Hexen, Heretic's like the first thing and Hexen's the sequel. But check them out. If you love Doom and you don't know anything about Heretic or Hexen, check them out. But I'll definitely probably play those in the future. And I will probably go back to Wolfenstein as well, the original. I just want to start it with Doom. Because I definitely want to play some of the modern Wolfenstein games. Those games are badass. So here's your Heretic bindings. So yeah, you can use GZDoom for those games as well. Okay, so that's the general gist of the GZDoom.ini, which we'll be setting up visually in the game. But I wanted you to see the file and look at it, so you know what's in it. Okay. There we go. So that was your visual explanation of the GZDoom.ini. Go to the next section here. Summary so far. Okay, now let's collect our thoughts here and summarize what we've done. We're just going to go over everything we've covered. So we've purchased and or located your Doom1.wad, your Sigil1.wad, and Sigil2.wad. We created and structured some custom folders we needed for GZDoom. Gave reassuring assurance to the viewers so they would keep watching the video about my supposed knowledge of all things Doom. Explained, downloaded, and installed a WAD extractor utility tool. Explained, downloaded, and installed GZDoom. Installed the .wad files for Doom 1 Ultimate, Sigil 1, and Sigil 2. I had you pre-run GZDoom so it could auto-generate some folders and files. Explained folder and file structures. And then now we just explained and showed the GZDoom.ini. Okay, so that's everything we've done. Let's get to the next area here, next section. In-game GZDoom and Doom 1 configuration. Let me back out here. Okay. As shown in the GZDoom.ini, you can configure things manually, and you have to for loading the mods because you have to manually type those in. The majority of GZDoom's options are configured in Doom itself. It gets integrated into the normal game options. GZDoom's settings are a little overwhelming, as there are a lot. If any of the devs of GZDoom might see this video, I would say thank you for making GZDoom to start with. I would say to them that it would be nice to somehow integrate description tooltips for the settings. Since GZDoom's GUI is integrated into Doom itself, I can understand that tooltips may not be possible. For all I know, there may be documentation on the GZDoom website regarding setting descriptions. Even though I don't know what a lot of stuff does, I usually have an idea. I would never tell you I am smart or know everything. I would tell you, though, that I try stuff and test it out. Before I even start the write-up for my config and tech videos, I've already set up my own given game. Getting off subject here. Now we'll go into Doom 1 Ultimate so we can directly configure GZDoom and Doom 1. I always feel like I am spoiling a game when I have to do things like this, because I might show off parts of the game before I'm actually in the gameplay video. It is necessary for the sake of the video, though. Right. I'm going to do a quick edit cut here, and then we'll be in Doom 1. We'll come back here to this segment afterward to wrap up the whole video. So I'm going to show the how-to segment now. Hello everyone, and welcome to the in-game segment for the config and tech video for Doom 1 Ultimate. Playing Doom 1 back in the 90s, you only had a handful of options to configure. With the advent of source ports like GZDoom, you now have a lot more options to mess with. I don't know everything about all the options in GZDoom. Some settings I have read up on, others I've tested, and others I may leave at their defaults. All in all, following my settings should give you a decent Doom 1 experience, or at least a good baseline to tweak further. I'm open to suggestions in the comments on better settings. So here we are in the game. I've kind of faced a certain area here because I thought this framed it well with the title screen, but also trying to not spoil too much in the game. This is the part of the first level of the game. I've also, for text readability options, I'm standing in a particular area here, so it's easier to see the stuff on screen because all the text is in red, most of it. I've also chosen to mute any game audio for clarity of commentary and talking, since Doom has music blaring and going the whole time. With all that out of the way, let's get into all the options in GZDoom/Doom itself. So we'll go on the options screen here. And let's see if I can find this first setting here is what you want to look at. You'll have an on and off simple options menu. It's going to be on by default, most likely. So whenever you actually go here, it'll look like this. Go to full options menu and make sure it's on. Then you'll see everything when you come in here. Or simple options menu, make sure that's off. And then when you come back in, you'll see everything listed. And then we'll start at the customized controls. Actually, yeah, for the sake of this video, normally I don't do this when I have it set up, but mouse options, if you go to enable mouse and menus, then you get mouse control. I got my classic red dot here that you're used to. So you can kind of, highlight. It works, but I end up clicking things that I don't mean to. So I usually have it off and just use the arrow keys or movement keys and the enter button. But for the sake of this, it'll make it a little easier. And you can use the mouse scroll wheel if there's more on the screen to scroll through. But check enable mouse and menus. Go back to customized controls, and you have action, weapons, inventory, map controls, other, strife pop-up screens, multiplayer. So we'll start with action. So enter to change, backspace to clear. So your main primary fire using a mouse would be your mouse 1 left click. There is no secondary fire, weapon reloading or weapon zooming. You don't do any of that in Doom. There's no aim down sights or anything like that. Use open doors, mouse 2, which would be your right click, and then your forward, backward, left strafing, and right strafing movement. You know, most people are going to be using WASD for this, but I play with the arrow keys. So pick your movement keys. Mouse 4, that's one of my thumb buttons. I have 2 side buttons on my mouse. It's one of those buttons. There's a quick turn ability, which I don't believe you could do in the original Doom, but you can with GZDoom. So I have it on there just because quick turning is cool. You are able to jump and crouch in GZDoom. This is not something that you can do in normal Doom or Ultimate Doom. You're not allowed to jump or crouch in Doom, classic Doom, not even in Doom 2. I do have keybinds, which I won't be using. They're just there so that I can show you. But I highly, highly, highly advise you to not use jumping or crouching when you play Doom 1 and Doom 2 at all, because the levels are designed around not having those abilities. You'll completely break levels left and right if you are able to jump, not so much crouching, but excuse me, definitely jumping, because sometimes, you know, the way John Romero and they made the maps and stuff, you know, they might have made things just a couple of pixels taller than you are able to step up on, just so that you can't step up on it and get past that without like lowering it with a button or something like that. So please, for the love of Doom, don't keybind jump, especially if it's your first time playing the game. I just have them keybind so that I can show you. I want to be able to show you what they look like and do in the game. You can crouch, toggle, or just hold to press. Some of this other stuff, there's not really any swimming that I can remember in Doom. This would be your way to get out of water, essentially. Mouse looking, doesn't matter. There's a run button. You had a run button in the original Doom, so you're not cheating. Toggle run or hold it, and then a strafe button, but you don't need that because you have a strafe here. Backspace to clear, so if you hover over, highlight something and you don't want it to be seen, press backspace, and then you can press enter again and put in a new keybind. That's how you do that. So that is your action keys. Weapons. Next weapon, previous weapon. I'll be using my mouse wheel to scroll between weapons. And then you can designate up to, is there really 10 weapons in Doom? One, I don't know off the top of my head. Mouse 3 is pushing the middle mouse, the scroll wheel in. I've made that button be my fists or chainsaw if you have one, just so I can quickly switch to that weapon. Otherwise, I'm just going to be mouse scrolling the weapons because I don't play first-person shooters with WASD, so I don't have access to the numbered keys above, the 1 through 9, actually 1 through 0. I play games using the arrow keys, so I'm limited to the number pad and the page down and home keys, those. So I could, you know, put some more weapon binds, but generally I don't bind particular weapons, except for, like, you know, if your first or default weapon in a game is a knife, then I'll make that probably my push scroll wheel in, so I can get to something like that, you know, really quick. But usually it's not proper. I mean, it's not that it's not proper. It's not ideal, I guess, to be the most successful. Like, obviously in this game, you know, when you need to whip out the BFG weapon, you kind of need it. And when it comes to that, I might actually preemptively later, you know, make a specific keybind to access it. But right now, this is how I'm doing weapons. Weapon state 1 through 4, I'm not exactly sure what that means. So there you have it. Inventory, activate item, I have that set as my key press. I think that key press 2. It's my number pad 2. I don't know of much. Do you have to activate them? Anything manually in Doom? I thought when you picked up the items, they just automatically activated. Maybe in Doom 2, or because this applies to not just Doom 2, but any other game that you can play in GZDoom. So maybe Heretic or Hexen you can actually control. I think you can in those games. You can control like using potions or something. So that actually won't be used probably in this game. I probably put it there for that purpose of playing like Heretic or Hexen. That's what these would be more for. Like you can't drop weapons in Doom, so. Map controls. Pan left, pan right, pan up, pan down. Basically your auto map movement. So whatever your movement keys are in the game for Doom Guy, do the same. And then I have page down and end, my zoom in and zoom out keys, and then delete toggles the zoom, whether it's the zoom state or all the way zoomed out state. So if you want to look at it all the way zoomed out, there's a toggle to do that. F, what that means, toggle follow. It means when you're looking at the map and moving, if you're moving in the map and toggle follow is on, which it will be, it'll move with your character. If it's off by pressing F, then you can move freely across the whole map without moving your character at the same time. That's what that means. Toggle rotate, I'm not sure. I think that means whether when you move the mouse or something, if it spins with it or not. Toggle grid just gives you a grid. I will show you the map here in a minute since it's related. Grid just gives you a grid. Textures, there's two, there's a wire grid, which brings back memories because that's what you looked at the whole time you made levels. So it's a nostalgic thing for sure, seeing the map in this game. It just takes me right back to being in the map editor and trying to figure out how to make Doom levels. But there's a wireform grid of the map, and then there's a textured version of it where it's like an overhead shot, which you couldn't see in the regular Doom. That's a GZDoom thing. In the regular classic old school Doom, you just got the wireframe, but this is whether you want to toggle the textures on or off. And then set markers, you can set markers starting with the 0 through number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know how many. But you can place these on the map, so if you get to a door, say, that's locked and you need a key card for it, you can plop a marker in front of it and then look at it later once you get keys or trying to figure out where you need to go, and then you'll have a marker to reference. So that's kind of handy. I made that mouse 5. That's the other side button on my mouse. The other one was quick turn. The lower I have 2 side button mouses. I don't have 11 like some of these mouses do, but the lower one is my quick turn, and then the upper side thumb button does that. It sets a marker on the map. And then C clears the markers. It doesn't clear them one at a time. It'll clear all of them at once, so be aware of that. You lose all of them. Okay, let's look at the map real quick. We'll come out of here. And how do I do the map? Gotta look at my actual keybinds. That's the controls in it. Map. Inventory. Other. Quick save. Toggle auto map. Okay, it's number pad 4 for me. Okay, so there it is. There's it zoomed all the way out, zoomed in to where it was by default, and then you can go like that, and then zoomed out all the way, or you can go all the way in. All the way in, like, this is epic. I'm like, there's literally no game I've ever played. I mean, this is GZDoom here doing this, but no game I've ever played where you can zoom this freaking far into the map. So when you're zoomed in here, and you move, it'll move with you. I don't want to move because I don't want to lose my orientation here. But then when you press that same button again, you will get this. and you'll be able to see the textures. So there's green slime behind us, and you can a pool of green slime in a room behind us, and you can see it animated. The lines do reflect certain things. I don't want to move, like I say. I'll show it to you when we're playing in the game. I'll go over this more. But it shows how many monsters are on the level up here. 0 out of 6. Secrets, 0 out of 3. Items, 2 out of 37. I've collected a couple walking to this point of the map. How long I've been in the map. How long I've been playing the game collectively, and how long I've been in this map. That's what that is. The top one's the level, the bottom's of the game collectively. And then E1, M1, Hangar, that stands for Episode 1, Knee Deep in the Dead, which we're in right now. Episode 1, Mission 1. And the Mission 1 is called the Hangar. This is the level. And if you press the map key again, then you come back out. So you can toggle it to only show the wireframe, and when you press it again, it just closes. But I like the option to see this because you also, through GZDoom, you get that written stuff around it. When you're in wireframe, it doesn't show any of that. But then when you do it again, you can like quickly see some information. I've also got the HUD right now in my player's sprite hidden, disabled, so that it just looks clean for this purpose of the video. You'll see all this when we play. I've got a HUD mod that I'll have that's different than the normal mod, and it shows a lot of useful information. The default original mod shows a lot of information, decent information as well. So that's that. Map controls. Grid texture. Let me show you the marker. So if I press my thumb key, which I got to do on my other mouse, underneath me here, it's hard to see. I'm just trying not to move my character. You can't see it, but there's a gray circle underneath it. It'll be more prevalent when you walk away. Kind of see it there. And then when you press C, it'll, whoa, C is making me crouch actually. You have to be in the textured map. Now you can see it. It's very hard to see there, but when you're in here, now you can see it. See the little circle, the gray circle down there? That'll turn into a 1 or a 2 or 3 or 4. But now when you press C in this textured map mode, then it goes away. So very handy. Even Doom had a map back in 1993. And by the way, when you're in option screens and you have the mouse cursor enabled, the little 2 arrows back here act as a back button, and you can see the scroll column over here when you can scroll up or down. That's what that is. But this lets you, if you click it, it'll just back up to the last menu. And everything is highlightable. You don't have to, you can just drag your cursor over and then click. So it's nice. I just don't like to have it active when I'm actually playing the game. That's mouse. Okay, trying to go quick here, but also trying to be thorough for you guys here. Other. Toggle auto map, so there's your keybind. That's where you select the button. I think it's tab by default. It would be if you're playing with WASD. But since I'm on the arrow keys and I'm using the number pad because I'm weird and I play that way, I've got number pad circle brings up my auto map when I'm playing. Not circle, number pad 0. Chase cam, cooperative spy, screenshot key, which I thought I had that set, but I guess I didn't. Go ahead and set that. Should be something like F12. Open console, that's worth mentioning. I'm glad that came up. Let me show that to you. If you press the tilde key, it's either tilde or tilde. I think it's tilde, T-I-L-D-E. It's the key to the left of your 1 key on your keyboard. It's above your tab key, and it's underneath your escape key. If you press this, it brings up like a developer console. And here you can see, tells you the where you are. If you type in the command like map, E1M2, it'll load you straight into that map. And And you can do other things too. Like you can see here, R_draw player sprites, 0 for off, 1 for on. That's how I hid my character, just because I didn't want to show it in the config and tech video. That's the command to do it. And it tells you when you've picked up items. I ran over an armor bonus and the armor, and I marked a spot and I cleared markers. So it tells you like everything. It shows you the version of GZDoom you're using, 4.11.3. Take a sip of drink. But yeah, if you look up online all the different commands, you can type in cheat codes. And here, Doom was notorious for having cheat codes, ID. A lot of them, most of them started with ID because of id Software. And I know ID clip is one of them. It lets you no clip through walls, walk through them like a ghost. So they don't have it takes away their solidness, their hit detection, so that you can't walk through them. But anyway, that's how you bring up the console. So don't forget you can do that, because you can do some cool stuff. And the nice thing too about this GZDoom is when you go back into options, it remembers where you were last, which is another reason to not use the mouse controls, because you might accidentally move off of it. But if you don't move anything, when you press enter, you'll just keep going back to where you were, even down to the backward of where I said the setting was, or where I was here, and the options for the keybinds. So pause, I made it for the P button. This is how you zoom in or out of your HUD, which I don't want to do because then I'll show the HUD by accident. But your minus and equals key will make the HUD bigger or larger, because some people couldn't run even Doom back in the day on full screen mode because PCs might not be able to handle it. So they, I'll show you when we play the game. You could take away you could make the actual game world really, really tiny on the screen, so that you weren't rendering as much, so that older computers, not older computers, but less powerful computers could still play Doom. You know, now you can literally play Doom on anything. I literally read in Google News the other day, there was an article, somebody said that you can play Doom now with gut bacteria. No joke. So you can literally play Doom on anything nowadays. Toggle messages, usually when you pick up items or weapons or kill anything or take a breath or blink your eyes or anything, there's a message for it. This is to toggle that on or off. I'm actually going to have this off by default because I think it looks tacky and you don't need to see it. It just looks bad for the playthrough, so I'm not going to have messages on. I was just going to have critical message shown, but I've actually disabled all of them. Adjust gamma. Open the help screen, which we'll look at when we do the first gameplay video. Open save menu, open load menu for your saves. Open options menu, open display menu, exit to main menu, quit game. You can make keybinds for all these, which is really handy. You couldn't do this in the original Doom. This is all thanks to GZDoom. And then what I use down here, I'm using keypad or number pad 4 and 5 for quick saving and quick loading. So you should at least make one official quick hard save. So like, you know, when you're playing, you know, go to save and like make an official hard save would be a good idea. But I am going to be relying on quick saving and quick loading for the most part, because it's the easiest thing to do. Okay, those are other controls. Strife pop-up screen. So this is for, again, another game from id Software called Strife. Mission objectives, key lists, weapon, ammo stats. So these only apply to the game Strife. Multiplayer, show scoreboard, toggle scoreboard, say, team say, talking abilities. Like, so you would click, you know, T for talk, and then you would type in a command for multiplayer. Preferred keyboard layout, modern keypad, modern WASD, classic ZDoom, modern keypad, so I'll just leave it on modern is what I'm using because I'm not using WASD. You probably want to leave it on that if you are, which you probably will be, and then reset to defaults. If you do that, then it will reset every one of these categories back to the defaults for you. So don't worry about what my keybinds are. Set everything to default and then go through and configure it the way you want to do it, the way you want to play the game. Now we're on to mouse options. So enable mouse, this is where we enable the mouse. Next one, enable mouse and menus. If you don't want to use the mouse at all, you can disable it, but this here, if you turn this back off, then your cursor goes away. Lost it completely here. Touchscreen like, I guess you could use touchscreen controls. That's pretty cool. No. So then if you're here, then you just have to use your movement keys to cycle through and like enter to say yes, which is just normally how I do it because that's quicker for me. It's normally how I'm used to doing it. But for the sake of this right now, I'm using that. Show back button in the upper left corner, upper right corner, lower left, lower right, off. That's the button I was talking about here. When you're using your mouse and you're in an option, you can move this to the different corners of the screen if you would like to do that. I think the upper left is there you can see it moving. Well, you could have to keep moving the mouse to keep it shown there. I don't know where it is by default. Kind of like upper right better. Show or swap mouse buttons. Basically it's basically inverting left or right. So left click would be right click would be left click. Cursor, system cursor, this is for using the mouse. Show the system cursor, show the default, which is, I think it's the head of the rabbit that's on a stick in the game. Spoilers, but you can't really tell what it is. It's so freaking tiny, so I don't like to use it. Or simple arrow, which is nice, but it's too small. So, and then Doom, it's the same thing. Heretic, which is, I don't know what that is. Looks like a mace, maybe. Hexen, something else. Cross swords, maybe. Strife, it's like a circle with a hand or fingers. Checks, little checks board, like the checks cereal. Back to system cursor, so I recommend using your system cursor. Horizontal sensitivity, vertical sensitivity, this is the movement. So you put this down on 0.1. It's not going to affect the menu, but it will the gameplay. 0.1 is the default, so start with that. So your mouse sensitivity in both directions, horizontally and vertically. Turning speed, how quick you turn when you move left and right, basically, if you're using mouse look in this game. Because in default Doom, when you move left and right, it would turn you left and right. By default, you can't look up and down in this game, but I have enabled that because I think it just feels better, because like it's old school Doom to not be able to look up and down, but it works, and I like to be able to do it. I'm just used to that, so you can enable that through GZDoom. That's what the mouse look speed is. The turning speed is left to right. Mouse look would be up and down. Forward back speed, I guess that's like forward movement and backward movement and running. You can run backwards in this game as well, so don't forget that. You can run backwards as well as forward. Strafing speed, when you strafe side to side, you know to dodge. Bullets, fireballs, rockets. How quickly you do that. Allow always mouse look, invert mouse X and Y coordinates, axis. Look spring, look strafe, just whether you want to use mouse look in the game, which I recommend. Only this if you want to invert, so when you move the mouse up, you look up, or move it up and you look down. Look spring and look strafe, there's a button for like There's a button for mouse look that you can hold, and when you hold it you can use mouse look, and then when you let go, if this is on, it will look spring, meaning like spring back your camera view to the center. That's what these do. Same with look strafing. That's only if you're using mouse look as a keybind that has to be held to operate. I recommend you put it on off and then use a keybind. I recommend just using it on. Let's see if we can actually find it. Where would that be? Other? Action. Mouse look. Center view. Yeah, there's a button to just center your view if you want to center it. I think it's mouse look. Possibly. I think. But anyway, I recommend mouse look. You don't have to hold a keybind to do it. But if you are using the keybind, considering these might help you with those controls. Okay, so keep everything at 1.0 and adjust accordingly. GZDoom has good mouse control, so I'm using 800 default DPI on my Razer mouse, and 1.0 is the default slider settings, so that's good enough for me. Should be good enough for you. Next is controller options. Enable controller support. Block controller input in menus. Enable direct input controllers. Enable X input controllers. Enable raw PlayStation 2 adapters. No controllers detected. Controller support must be enabled to detect any. I have this all on no because I don't play or want to play Doom with a gamepad. Although you can if you like, which is super cool. But I want to play it with a mouse and keyboard. So all of these will be configured at your discretion based on whether you want to use a gamepad. Okay, next setting is player setup. So this is where you create your character for like online play, because this is what you look like. You don't actually see yourself except maybe in a mirror, but I don't think they do mirrors in Doom 1 or even Doom 2. But when you play online with people, this is what you look like, and what they see and what you see, just different color based on your outfit. You can name yourself. I called myself Penumbra, Team Black, so you can make yourself, I guess I can't do it here, yeah, name myself Team Black, custom color, so there's the green, that's like your default Marine. You play as a Marine and your name is just Doom Guy. I can show you the back. If you press space bar, then you can see the back shot. Very nice. Default green, then you got gray, brown, red, light gray, light brown, and light red, light blue, and then custom. So you could do black, you could do just blue. Oh, that's cool. You can do like, so is that the same as blue? No. There's no dark variations. There's light variations. But light blue is too light. I might do, I kind of like this black blue mix. That's kind of sweet. So it goes from 0 to 255. Let's see here. So 127, that would be roughly the midpoint. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. So then what do you call yourself? None, no team. Call myself Blue. And I'm gonna rock this blue-black. So then class Marine. That's all you can pick. Skin, can't change any of that. Male, male, female, neutral, neutral, object. Your gender is object. I don't know, can you, I don't see anything here to remove your helmet, so, but you can specify your gender. Auto aim, I don't really know why there's a slider for it. I don't use auto aim. I'd have to look up and read about that. I know what auto aim is. It helps you auto aim and kill stuff. Based on your cursor getting close enough, it'll just help you lock onto a head or the target, but I don't know why. 0 to 34% maybe? I don't know. Off. Vertical bullet speed or spread off, on. I'm going to leave that off. Switch on pickup on. That just means I think when you run over a new weapon that's new or better than the one in your hand, it'll switch to it. That's what that means. And always run. If you don't want to have to hold a button or toggle a button to run, then you can have auto run always on. But running in this game is like walking. Normal walking in Doom is like running in any other game. This game is really fast, so running is super fast. I don't want it on auto run. I want to control it because sometimes I just want to walk. But you can put auto run on if you want to. So that's how you configure your character. How you will look to other people if you choose to play online. Gameplay options. Okay, so basically things are called DM flags or like Doom flags, and this one has 3 different sets of them. DM flag 1, basically 2, 3. Every time you change something, like if you put smart auto aim, well, not everything, but if you drop weapon, yes, then it changes DM flag 2 to equal to instead of 0. So the default is 0, 0, 0. So we'll start with deathmatch settings or online play. So these are all 0, 0, 0, which means they should all be the defaults. Because when you make an adjustment, there's something that gets applied. See, like now it says 8,192 because we changed that setting. So weapons stay. This is whether they stay in the world, I guess, when you run over them and pick them up. Allow power-ups or not. Allow health items. Allow armor items. Spawn farthest, whatever that means. Same map. Force respawn. Allow exit. Barrels respawn. Explodable barrels. Respawn protection items. Lose frag if fragged. Keep frags gained. Because that's what you're going for is frags, you know. Killing people. That's what they called it back in the day. Fragging somebody. You get a frag. It means you scored a kill. No team switching. And weapons give extra ammo. DM deathmatch. I'm not going to be doing any deathmatch. At least I don't have intentions to. I might in the future. It'd be kind of fun to do that with somebody or somebody in a group, you know. But these are the defaults, but this is where you would adjust deathmatch settings if you want to mess with them. And then cooperative settings, cooperatively playing with people, because you can you can just play through the levels with somebody, a friend, you know, or a family member. Cooperatively together, where you don't do damage to each other. You can do damage to each other, I think, if you flag something to hurt each other. But you might as well just play deathmatch with each other to do that. But cooperative means you won't, but you'll just help each other get through the levels. So if you need a red key and a blue key, in a level, one of you can go get the red key while the other player, your friend, family member, gets the other key. You both meet back up and go through the doors needing the right keys. So you can definitely do that. Spawn multiplayer things in cooperative play. Spawn multiplayer weapons. Lose entire inventory. Keep keys. Keep weapons. Keep armor. Keep power-ups. Keep ammo. Lose half ammo, spawn where died, and something non-player clip. Not sure. No player clipping, I guess. I don't see any flags here to not do damage to each other, so maybe you are forced to do it. There may be a way to do it, though, where you don't hurt each other, but if you do shoot each other when you're playing, I guess you do damage to each other. unless there's somewhere else to change it. Team play off or on, I'm not sure. I guess that means whether you do teams or not. Team damage scaler. I'm not, let me take a sip of drink. I'm not brushed up on death matching in this game. I did do it back in the day a little. Over dial-up and stuff. But it's been so long ago now. Smart auto-aim. I don't know. I don't use it. Never friends. Only monsters or off or on. I'm just leaving it off. Falling damage, whether you take falling damage, which you don't by default in Doom. Drop weapon. I guess whether you're allowed to. Like, how would you drop it? Maybe when you pick up a new one, you would just drop your current weapon, I guess. Double the ammo. That would be nice. Infinite ammo would be super nice. But we're not cheating. Infinite inventory. No monsters. I mean, I guess that would be good for speedrunning testing, maybe. But no monsters. No monsters to exit. Monsters respawn. If you want to make the game harder, then you can make them respawn. Because typically they don't once you kill them. Monsters do not respawn. I don't know why there's two options for that. Well, it's not on option. It's not on yes. So monsters do not respawn. Yeah. Items respawn. Big power-ups respawn. Faster monsters, so they move and shoot you quicker. So you can make the game harder with that. Monster nightmare reflexes. So they're probably like frickin' Neo from the Matrix. Degeneration. I don't know. I think maybe that means you slowly are dying the whole time. You just are slowly losing HP. Allow auto-aim. I'm going to leave it on yes because it triggers a flag like it's not the default to be on no. But I'm not going to be using auto-aim when I play. But you could force it off here. I just don't want to do that because it's not the default. Allow vertical bullets spread, yes. I'm not sure about that, but it's the default. Allow blank, yes. I guess you can... I don't know, how would you manage that? I don't think there's pits that you can just jump off of. Maybe a kill keybind, I don't know. Allow jumping, allow crouching, allow free looking. So this is cheating, doing these things, obviously. The default is on. You can do it on or off, but the default is on. It's just whether you use it or not. And I won't be using jumping and crouching in my normal playing, but I have keybinds set so I can demonstrate them to you when we play the game. That's why I have them on default, so that I can actually utilize them. Free look I will be using so that when I move the mouse cursor up and down, or the mouse up and down, I can look up and down in the game world. Whereas that did nothing in normal Doom. So that's on. Allow FOV yes to adjust it, I guess, or just to be on at all. Let me say no. Didn't change anything. But yes. And I think you can adjust it in the settings for sure, but I think you might can do it in here. Yeah, type in FOV, and I set mine to 90. The default's 90, but that's where you would do like FOV 120. And then you come out of here and it's going to go crazy. Crazy zoomed out. I don't know how far you can go. Let's try 300. Wow, nice. And then like 50 would be like, oops. Whoa, I just moved my character. Let me go back to 90. And get my, situated back. Okay. So yeah, if you do like FOV 25, because we're at 90 again, it's going to go way zoomed in like that. So you can actually see the little health potions down there. Okay, so we'll go back to 90. I usually use 90 for 1080p, 1920 by 1080 resolution. I go by and I usually use 90 as my baseline and then adjust from there. But a lot of people like to use 100 or 110, whatever you would like to do. It's your thing. Do what you want to do. I'll show you crouching and jumping just for the sake of it. So here's crouching, and here's, well, I'm hitting a roof above me right now, ceiling. But this is not something you're supposed to be able to do in Doom. Okay. Allow BFG aiming. The gun you get in Doom. I forget exactly what that means, but I'm leaving it. Allow auto map. Yes, I want the auto map to work. Allow allies. Yes. Allow spying. So it's the default. I think that's to do with cooperative or deathmatching. Chase cam cheat. Not entirely sure. Check ammo for weapon switch. That means if you have no ammo or a certain degree of very little ammo, but I think 0, and you walk over a new weapon, then the game will automatically switch to that weapon. Or if you shoot your last bullet, then the game will automatically switch to the next available weapon or next most powerful. Icons, death kills at spawns. The icon of sin, that's the last boss. It's kind of a spoiler, but that's what it's called. And so that's whether his enemy, he spawns adds or additional enemies when you fight him, and this is whether he, when you kill him, if they die or not, or if they stay alive. And the default is for them to stay alive, so I'm leaving it. And sector counts for kill percent. Okay, not sure entirely. Always spawn multiplayer objects. Okay, so these are the gameplay options, and they are at default. Well, are they? Yeah, because free look is, I guess, considered a GZDoom default, even though you can't do it by default in the normal Doom. Okay. Compatibility options. So these are compatibility flags. And there's default Doom, strict, boom, boom strict, FBM strict, GZDoom 2.0.63, which GZDoom used to be called ZDoom, and then default. I'm just leaving it on default. Actor behavior. Crushed monsters get resurrected as ghosts. I don't know about that. Friendly monsters aren't blocked. Limit pain elementals lost souls as an enemy. Monster movement is affected by effects. Monsters cannot cross drop-offs. Monsters get stuck over drop-offs. Monsters see invisible players. No Minotaur floor flames and water. Spawn item drops on the floor. So actor are, it's a word for like the enemies or the, NPCs. So these are effects you can apply. And like I said, I'm assuming all of these being on no is the default. So you can tweak those though. Dehacked ed behavior. This is to do, dehacked ed is a editor for making Doom levels. Health settings like Doom 2 and Doom 1, I guess. And then original A mushroom speed in the editor. I'm not sure what that means. Map action behavior. All special lines can block use. Allow any boss death for level special. Disable boom door light effect. I don't know what that is. Find neighboring light like Doom. Find shortest textures like Doom. Use buggier stair building. Use Doom's floor motion behavior. Use Doom's point on line algorithm. Level exit can be triggered more than once. Scripted teleporters don't trigger sector actions. Non-blocking lines can be pushed. Enable buggy check switch range behavior. Enable buggy strife railing and disable MBF 21 features. That's a lot. But these are all on no. I'm using the default. Physics behavior. Actors are infinitely tall, so that would mean they couldn't move then. Boom scrollers are additive. Cannot travel straight, NSEW. Enable wall running. Raven scrollers use original speed. Self-reference. Sectors don't block shots. Use Doom code for hit scan checks. Use Doom heights for missile clipping. No vertical thrust from explosions, and use original Doom explosion behavior. So I don't know what all this entails exactly. Just leaving it all like normal. I'm not messing with any of the physics. Rendering behavior. Draw poly objects like hexen. Ignore Y offsets on masked mid textures and invert sprite sorting. And then sound behavior. Cripple sound from silent BFG trick. Don't let others hear your pickups, meaning when you pick up items or something. Moving floors are not silent. Instant moving. Sector sounds use center as source, use original sound target handling, so leaving all defaults on all of that. On this compatibility options, just all default. I didn't adjust any of that. Take a sip of drink. Did I mention this video is going to be long, and this segment is going to be long? This is definitely going to be my longest config and tech video for any game I've made yet. I know it. Okay. Next is auto map options. So this thing. More settings for it. Map color set. Traditional Doom, traditional Strife, traditional Raven, custom, traditional Doom. So let's look at custom and see what it looks like. Looks pretty much the same to me. And then we'll put it back. Let's put it on something weird like Strife. Doesn't really look any different, I don't think. But anyway, I'm going with color set. Maybe it has to do with other items. I am going with traditional Doom. So in here, you know, if you're playing Strife, you might want to do that. Allow map to find colors, yes. Set colors, custom colors. So yeah, if you put this on, I guess custom. Yeah. So here you can change everything, you know, see what I'm saying? You can change the whole color layout of everything if you put it on custom map set colors, but I'm using traditional Doom. Custom map controls. So this is where you, remember I showed you this in the GZDoom INI for auto map keybinds. This is them. Same settings. This is what I'm using. I might use these. I'll probably forget I can even do it. Could put C on something more handy, but it's not a big deal. I'll just use that. Okay, so that's the custom map controls, and you got rotate auto map with you when you move, follow the player on or off. But you can also use a keybind to toggle it on or off, so you might as well leave it on. Overlay auto map, overlay plus normal, overlay only. So if you do overlay only, this is where I was telling you now, when you do it, you only get the wireframe, and when you do it again, it just goes back to the game. But I like, and you can just turn it off completely if you want. But I like the option of seeing both, you know, so I'm leaving it on both, overlay and normal. Enable texture display, yes. Line alpha, this is just how thick the line is, so if you put it on 0.1, you can't even see it now because it's there, but you can barely see it. It's so skinny. Let me fix it. Here you can see it materializing in the background. So put it on 0.9, the highest for the most definition. And then you can make it really thick too. I mean, Does that change the other one? Yeah, I don't want it to look like that. It looks like frickin' Microsoft Paint. So I'm just choosing to leave it at 1. Look at this, 2. Okay, so if you do that, you get the black background. That's kind of nice too. Don't have any texture, but it is cool to see the texture. So enable texture display. Auto map. Let me turn it back on again. Keep closing it. Auto map. MNU underscore line. Anti-aliasing. Yeah, this kind of cleans it up. I might use that. I think it's off by default. That's actually kind of nice. Let me look at it in this view. Yeah, it gives it a little more definition. I would say turn that on. I don't know if it was on or off by default. There's no flag trigger for it in here, so I would say put it on. Show item count. So this is where when you're in the textured screen, see up there it says items 2 of 37. So if you turn this off or on, this will affect what you see here. Monster count can be on or off, and then show secrets on or off. So you can turn all this off if you want nothing up there. I'm going to make it visible. Show time elapsed. Show total time elapsed. So time elapsed is the top one based on the level, and then the bottom one is total game time elapsed through this playthrough session. So both of those on. Show map label. Down below, if this is never, then you'll just see the name of the level, which is Hangar. I put it on always, so then I can see that it's E1, M1. Not for hubs. I don't know what that means. Maybe for deathmatch. Put it on always. Show key, cheat on. I guess it'll show key in the level if you need a key. Or there's a key in the level to pick up. Always show keys off, and I have it on. Always show keys. I don't know. Show keys, cheat. It says it's a cheat. So wouldn't it be cheating if you're always showing it? I don't know. Just leave it on for now. It doesn't matter. Show secrets on map always, never, only when found. That would be after the fact. I'm going to say always just because if I do want to try to find any particular, it'll help me find them. So, you know, it's cheating, sure, whatever. Draw map background, map define color only. I'm going to leave that on. Show trigger lines, that's just like for opening. Sometimes there's certain areas, like you can see them now, like this yellow line here, that's like a door or an entry. When you walk across it, it may trigger another door to open or close or something, so it's showing those trigger lines on the screen or not. And some are different based on the color. Show things as sprites, front, animated, rotated, off. That would be like healing items and things like that. So I had that off. That makes me think I want to put keys on. These are critical for progression though, and I might need to see them, so I'm going to leave those on. But I'll leave sprites off. And then this keeps scrolling, so we'll keep going here. Overlay portals, I'm not really sure what that is, but I'm going to leave it on. Empty space margin, not totally sure. Leaving it at default 50. Mark font. This is the font, I guess, for when you put a marker on the map. Let's try it. See what it looks like. If it's larger. Oops, I'm trying to zoom out. Okay, let's look at the setting. Okay, default is console. I kind of think large is better. It's more visible. It's like a circle. Well, it's a number. It's 0. But it's like a light gray. I can see it there. You can barely see it right here. Or underneath my red dot, there's a circle. The on is the arrow's pointing and flashing at it there. It's gray by default. Large is a bright yellow, but you can change the color here. Mark color. Whatever's the most visible. Cream. Light blue is pretty visible. Default is white. Teal, sapphire. Just bear with me a moment. Light blue is pretty good. White's good. I think I might use light blue. Yep, light blue, put it on large. Okay, that kind of moves it in a little further. I would say leave that on 50. Yeah, that works. Large light blue is what I'm going to go with. Bear with me. Yeah. You can see it here, but it's not super great. Still not very large, but I am zoomed in pretty far there. I think that'll stand out on the map pretty good. Yellow might be better. Let's look at yellow. Ooh. Okay, so traditional Raven does that. I can actually see the changes. Strife puts it white on the edges. Custom has nothing. Doom is kind of the red. Kind of like the white. Yeah, I think I might use white. And yeah, yellow might actually be the best. Just skipped over it. Fire, that's pretty visible. Gold. Yellow, okay. Gold and fire is definitely brighter. I think I'm going to use fire. I think that's the most visible. Fire and large. And the traditional strife, I'm going to use that. So this is how that's really visible now. It's how my auto map will look. This will look the same regardless, but I'm going to make my textured map look like this. I like that. Because when you get closer to areas, it fills in and the lines you'll see the white lines and all that connect up. Okay, what's next? It's all the auto map stuff. HUD. Scaling options, user interface. I put this at 3 for the moment because that's what we're zoomed in at. That number will be different depending on where you have it set. Overrides for above setting, so you can make the messages bigger or larger, the text. The console information text. this, which I can't have open when I look at the options, but this is, you can make the text larger or smaller with that setting. For scaling, status bar, the HUDs, HUD preservation aspect ratio, put that on so nothing gets inappropriately stretched. Intermission background on, screen border on, leave these on. And then scaling factor, aspect ratio, just default 1.0. I didn't change any of that stuff, really. Alternate HUD. Enable alternate HUD. There's an alternate HUD you can mess with, but I'm not using it. So with that off, none of these things apply. But go through these if you are going to use it, and these are the different settings that you'll have for it. It's all default, because mostly default anyway, because I haven't messed with the alternative HUD. I'm using a custom HUD anyway, so it doesn't matter. Message options, so the show messages, this is where you would turn on this if you want to see messages at all, which will be on by default. It's just up to you whether you want them to show. I don't. Show obituaries, deaths, those will always show. Show secret notifications, or they won't with this being off. If it was on, they would. Show secret notifications, minimal message level, critical, only show critical. Developer message mode off, center messages, they'll either show like where the word messages are, or they'll show like to the left corner, they'll show. If I was going to use them, or if I do see them, I want them to be in the center. Pulsate message display, so after it appears it'll flash, and then if you want a subtitle for that message, which I don't know why you would, the message is the subtitle. Message colors based on item pickup, deaths, critical message, chat messages, team messages, centered messages. The default's going to be red, but you can make it black. You can pick all those different colors like we did for the marker color. Red's the default, and like that red, and default is red. But if you wanted it all to appear white, then just change everything to white. Screenshot message, whether you get a message for taking a screenshot when it occurs. Detailed save messages, so anytime you save, you know, it tells you like where the save is happening, being saved to. But I don't have any messages show. Just so if I do like do a quick save, for instance, it doesn't say you've quick saved or you've quick loaded. Just goes so it's not distracting for the video. But generally by default, put this on and see if you like it, and if you don't, then come in under here and turn it off. Or just put things on critical instead of showing item pickups, showing deaths, showing critical messages only. If you do item pickups, I think on and item pickups is the default. Then everything you pick up, every time you get a health item, it's going to tell you. It gets repetitive and annoying, so usually I would say just critical messages, and then I get kind of so annoyed by it that I've just turned them off completely. Screen blend options, hexen weapon flashes, poison damage flashes, ice death flashes, poison buildup flashes, blood flash intensity, pickup flash intensity, underwater blend intensity. So all defaults, just GZDoom settings. If you're playing hexen though, you might want to come in here and put all these on hexen or strife. But I am just going with the default GZDoom, and then 1.0 for this, just which is the max setting. Okay. Scoreboard options, cooperative, enable scoreboard, yes. Header color, your player color, other players' colors. Deathmatch options, enable scoreboard, yes. Same options. Team deathmatch, enable scoreboard, yes. So all defaults, and yes. That's things like at the final, when you get the final results of the deathmatch, what happened, how many deaths. Font options, use standard font for log display, and use standard font for dialogues. This is no, That's what I have it set on, so I'm leaving it on that. Crosshairs on, off. You can see my crosshair in the middle of the screen. It's a little cross. Oops. I would say yes, and then you can pick. You got different options here: 1, 2, X, circle, angle, triangle, dot, and none. It's like here's the triangle. Here's the dot, super small. I like the crosshair 2. It's visible, it's a good size. Crosshair 1's a little tiny for me. So I'm putting that on 2. Force default crosshair, no, because we want to use what we pick. Grow crosshair and picking up items. When you pick one up, the same time you pick it up, the crosshair gets bigger, or when you hover the crosshair over it, it gets larger. I don't really care about that. Crosshair color, you can pick any color that you want it to be. I want it to just be default white. Crosshair show health, if you say yes, you can see when you look at it now, right here. When you say standard, it turns it green a little bit, like your full health right now, so your health is green. If you're about dead, it might change it to red. Enhanced, kind of a similar thing. No. I don't want it to do that. I'm just going to pay attention to my health, hopefully. I want it to remain white, so I'm going to say no, and then scale it. If you want it to be 2%, there you go. Of course, I don't want to do that, obviously. So I'm going to go back to 0.25. I think 20 might be the default, but 25 gives it just about the right size for how I want it to look. That's how you scale the crosshairs. Display name tags, none, items, weapons, both. Doesn't matter. Use old ouch mug shot formula. I think that's for the little picture of your head in the HUD for when you get hurt. What it does, how it looks. I didn't know you could turn that off. Leave it on. View bob amount while moving. So how much your head bob happens when you move. When you see the hand holding the weapon, how much it sways. I'm just leaving it at default. View bob amount while not moving. I don't know how you can have a view bob, camera bob amount when you're not moving. Your character is going to sit there and move around even though he's standing still. Weapon bob speed, how much the weapon view bob it's independently of your movement. View bob amount when firing your weapon. Menu dim, if you do this, it dims the menu when you're in it. So when you're out, it's like normal, but when you get in the menu like this, it dims everything. So you can choose whether you want to do that or not. It goes all the way up to 100. So that would essentially be 50% dimming. It's like you know when you're in the menu. The game is paused when you go into the menu. And it does make the menu more legible, especially for this situation. Could have stood anywhere in the game as long as I had the menu dimmed. So I'll put that at 25. I kind of like that. Put it at 25%. And then dim color. I guess you can change that too. Huh. Just going to leave it alone. Just because I want a slight darker dim. I don't want to add any color to it. So just pick your choice. I'm going to do that just it's kind of cool. That's all the HUD options. Now we have miscellaneous options. Merge left and right, auto control, alt control and shift. So if you're playing on WASD over there, you'd be using the left, shift, control, and alt. But this merges it so that also the right, alt, shift, and keyboard control on your keyboard work. I'm not going to be using it, but it's there. Alt enter toggles full screen. So whether you go windowed mode or full screen mode, show IWAD selection dialog. I guess that's when you start the game. If you see some of the identification information for the WAD you're playing. View bobbing while flying. I guess camera flying in the air. Free camming in the air. I guess you'd be bouncing around. Disable keyboard cheats. That's just off. I'm not going to be using cheats in the game. Enable cheats from all games. Enable autosaves. I will be using that. Never scripts only. I do want to allow autosaves just for backups. Save load confirmation. Saying, are you sure you want to save or sure you want to load? I'm just going to skip that confirmation. Number of autosaves. So here you go. You can put that to 2 or 4. Quick save rotation, not sure, just leaving it off. Number of quick saves in rotation, 2. Put those at both 4, but I'm leaving that off. Load.deh.bex lumps, not sure. Enable making screenshots by scripts. Script key config weapons / players. Allow skipping of intermission scrollers. Pause game in background, so whether the game pauses when you minimize the game. Cache nodes. If I skip something here, I just don't know what to put it on other than what it already is. Time threshold for node caching 0.6. Clear node caching. Language auto. You can pick English, Turkish, Serbian, Russian, Romanian, Brazilian Portuguese, European Portuguese, Polish, Norwegian, Dutch, Korean, Japanese, Italian, Hungarian, French, Finnish. You can pick all kinds of stuff in here. Okay, back to English. Then we have a quick exit. Show EN Doom screen off. This is in Doom. It's saying, like, thanks for playing the shareware. Why don't you buy the full game? Promotional stuff. So I just have that from id Software. It's like a screen you see when you exit. Let's have that off so it exits quicker. Disable menu clean scaling. This is important. If you put this on and you look at your menu, now it's like super large. The logo is not distorted because that logo is a mod I'm using in the game that I'll show you how to incorporate, and it's super high quality to begin with, but it is making the menu super distorted and large. But if you want it big like this, that's how you would do that. I don't. So make disable menu clean scaling and miscellaneous options off, and then it will look a little more normal like it should. Okay. Classic GZDoom scaling on summary screen off. I don't know about that yet. Just leaving it off. It looks okay, I think, when I've seen it. Use percents on summary screen. Just say on. Show tally screen on level exit. Mod defined. It's just normal. Yep, just leave that on. That's default. So that's miscellaneous options configured. We're getting there. We're slowly getting there, guys. We're getting down to the end. Network options. Local options. Movement prediction on or off. Just leave it on default. Predict line actions. Predict lerp scale. Lerp threshold. I've never heard of a lerp before. I've heard of a lurch from Adam's family. Host options, Extra ticks, none, and latency balancing off. I don't know what to do with these. These are just all default settings. So I didn't change any of these. Network options relates to death matching online play anyway. Not for just single play. Okay, so we're getting in the last three big important settings here. Sounds, display, and your video modes. Go to sound. Master volume. So right now I have it at 0 because I'm muting everything. But I'm going to try to play this game, I think, at 100% volume for master volume, 100% for sure. And you have sounds, music, menu, sound effects, the music in the game, and then menu sounds when you're in menus like this. I'm going to try to keep everything at 100%. If anything, I might drop the music to like 90 or 80% because music can be overpowering in this game, and it's always playing. I want you to be able to hear the sound effects, and when I do talk, which will be very limited though, so I'm not going to be really talking a lot, so the music can be louder. And classic Doom, the music is very important for the game, so it's every bit as powerful as the gameplay. So I'm going to try to just mix my sound and music decent for this game, as I always would try to do. But in this particular case, leave the music maxed. And so I'll put master volume max when I play the game. So I recommend everything at 100% and then adjust the music volume accordingly. MIDI device, you're going to have options for fluid synth, wild MIDI, library ADL, library open, Microsoft GS wavetable synth, and then TI timidly, or timidity plus plus. I recommend using an OPL synth emulation and GUS emulation. Mess with them all. Play you'll hear the game music playing in here. Just cycle through them. Actually, you may not be able to do it through here, but you might. Maybe not. But cycle through them here if they change. But I recommend using fluid synth. I think it sounds the best for MIDIs. Underwater reverb on and off, I would say put it on for what reverb you do get, which I don't think you have in any Doom games, but for like Heretic or Hexen, leave it on just for the cool effect for being in water. Randomized pitches, I would leave this on so that it tries to not raise the pitch any on the music. Sound channels, I don't remember what the default is, but I would recommend, and most others would recommend, to put this all the way to 256. Go to advanced options here. Sample rate, you have default 8000 Hertz, 11025 Hertz, 22050, 32,000, 41,100, and 48,000. Just leave it on the default. HRFT, I don't know what that stands for, but leave it on. If it's on auto, leave it there. I'm actually going to put it back on auto. Sound and background, when you minimize the game, whether you want sound playing or not. OpenAL options, playback device default. This will just dictate the playback of the sound in the game through your headphones or whatever you use to play your sound. So I have a Razer headset, and I have just a stereo headset. I call it just my bed headphones for watching YouTube on TV. And then I have a sound bar hooked up to my television. Just leave this on default. Enable EFX on, I would just leave it on default, and resampler default. This is related to the OpenAL file that's in your root default install folder for each game. MIDI player options, this is very important. So this is where you configure what Fluid MIDI does, or the other option you might have picked it to be set to. So go into Fluid MIDI. This is where you would select your sound font that you would use, or what would be loaded in that folder in the game that we already went over. The only option we have is GZDoom, and that's what I recommend using. Gain, if you put it at 0.00, you will get no sound on the music. So you have to be at 0.5. You could be at 1, but that's going to make things really loud for the music. 0.5 is loud enough, so just start with that. But if you maximize the game volume in sound options here, music volume, and it's not loud enough, then go into advanced options, MIDI player options, fluid synth, and then put the gain up another 0.5, which would put you at 1.0. Reverb off and coarse. This doesn't sound very well. If you ever used like a reverb or a coarse guitar pedal effect for playing guitar, you'll know what these are. But this adds too much kind of, reverb and coarse effect, and it makes the MIDI music not sound as good as it should. So I would advise leaving these off. But you can come in here. This is where you would, on your using fluid synth, which I recommend regardless, you can pick different sound fonts here while the music is playing and hear the change. And you can also hear the change of applying reverb or coarse. So try it out, but I recommend not using them. And then MIDI voices, you can go from 16, which is the default, all the way up to the thousands, but I haven't noticed much change, so just at least put your MIDI voices on 128. And that will configure your sound font and configure your fluid synth for how the music is going to sound. Granted, in the situation of my playthrough, I'm going to be using a MIDI mod, and I will explain what that does in the modding video. But it's going to technically replace the original MIDIs, so I won't be actually using the GZDoom sound font for fluid synth. I will be using what the mod for the music uses. And in the case of the MIDIs that it's going to be playing, they are actually .flac files or .flacs. So they're going to override any of this. But when I play Sigil 1 and Sigil 2, I will be using the default music for MIDI music for those games because they have custom soundtracks that are different from the soundtrack in Doom. But the Doom mod is going to make the default MIDIs sound better, so it won't apply in that sense. Module replayer options, these are all default. Master volume 1, sample rate default, quality linear, volume ramping none, and then chip-o-matic off. So master volume, so that probably means that even though this is set at 0.5, it's really at 100. But anyway, leave it at 0.5. Restart sound. If something happens, you have no sound, or you're trying to confirm you have sound, this will restart your music for the level you're on. Or if you go in here and you change fonts, sound fonts, and it doesn't work, then go back out and then restart the sound. But you shouldn't have a problem with that. Unless there's a problem with the .sf2 sound font you're trying to use, then it may not play. So that's the advanced settings, very important. I definitely advise you to come in here so that you make sure you do this correctly. Because reverb and coarse might be defaulted for fluid synth, and they don't sound good, so turn them off. Okay, and the next thing is reverb environmental editor. I didn't do anything in here. I didn't mess with any of this, so tweak at your own peril. Don't know anything about that. So that's the sound options done. Display options. I got a bunch of things in here. We'll eventually get to an end here. First option is texture options. Texture filter mode, none. Linear bitmap is what I have this set on. If you look at the game's graphics here, when you change these to linear, it's kind of hard to tell, but the graphics actually get worse on linear. They get more muddier. They're going to be their most clear on none. Either none or none bitmap or none linear bitmap or none trilinear. Just don't use linear. You muddy the graphics. And I recommend nearest bitmap will give you a good picture. Anisotropic filtering, I always recommend. It's hard to tell here much difference, but the difference is going to be there. But I recommend putting it on 16x. High quality resize mode off. High quality resize multiplier off. Resize textures on. These are just defaulted. Resize sprites on. Resize fonts on. Resize model skins on. Precached GL textures, yes. Short to draw lists by textures, yes. So just leave those by default. Off, 16x, and none nearest bitmap. Dynamic lighting options. Dynamic lighting software on, off. It's not doing much, but leave it on. You can definitely see the difference that makes. Sorry, I just hit the mic. Display. So leave that on. It'll make your lighting look better in the game. Lights affect sprites, yes. So you can see those blue pickups in the background. When you say none, the lighting and the level doesn't affect them and they just aren't barely seen. They're dark, but they get the blue glare to them with yes. Lights affect particles. Particles like that happen when you shoot a rocket or something. How the light reflects off of those. Light shadow maps, so you can see certain areas over there get kind of messed up. They shouldn't be lit, and they are, but this fixes it. Shadow map quality, 1024 versus 128, so the higher you go, the better the shadows will look based on the lighting. So I would say put it on 1024. Shadow map filter, PCF high, nearest, low, medium. I would just say put it on high. That's what I have it on anyway. So that's your dynamic lights. Screen size, this is where, oops, I just gave away the HUD. This is where you change the screen size unless in the game you use the minus or equal sign to do it. 12 is the most zoomed out. Gamma correct, default. Brightness, the default is 0.00, but I bumped it up to 0.05 for myself anyway. I'll be adjusting. The game will be brighter for you guys anyway, but I'm adjusting this just a tad because the game is a little bright, or the game's a little dark for me, so I'm bumping it up a tad, but you might want to just leave it at 0.00. And if it's too dark, come in here and bump it up one click to 0.05. Contrast, saturation, I left alone. Here's the FOV where you can tweak it. I'm doing 90 even. Sprite shadows, monsters and players off, default, monsters and players. I'm not sure what default is, and I didn't really notice that really any shadows were applied when monsters and players are on, but I am leaving it on. Custom inverse map is off. Custom inverse color dark is off. Custom inverse color lights. This is all default. Screen swipe. This is when you like load a quick save or something. What effect happens? You get a burn effect, a crossfade, none, or melt. I like how the melt looks. So that's just preference. And then use fuzz effect. Shadow, translucent, and fuzz. I forget what this does, but I'm going to leave it on fuzz. Classic transparency, GZDoom forced, vanilla forced, auto, GZDoom preferred, auto, vanilla preferred. I'm just going to use that, how it handles transparencies. Use fake contrast, smooth, and off and on, so you can see on the wall over there how you get kind of a fade in of the dark and the light color, whereas when it's off, it's just kind of set. So I recommend smooth. rocket trails particles versus sprites and particles off. Just use particles for the rocket trails. Blood type, bulletproof puff type, use sprites and particles. Number of particles, number of decals. So like number of particles you see when you shoot a rocket, say, or when you see blood on the wall or the floor. I don't remember what the defaults are, but I put them towards the middle. So roughly 5,000 and 5,012. Doesn't matter, right there's good. 5,000 and 5,002. Show player sprites off or on. So there I just gave away my sprite. That's what I did in the console where I hid it, but this is how you would hide it if you want your sprite hidden and not be able to see your player sprite, but you obviously do. Death cam on for when you die. You get to see your character in third person, or you just kind of fall to the ground in first person. I don't know what that noise was. If it's off, but I recommend on because it looks cool. Teleporter zoom, there's a cool effect. I think it's something GZDoom added, but you get this cool little effect when you use teleporters. Leave it on. If you don't like it, come in here and turn it off. Earthquake shake intensity, interpolate monster movement. So these are all default. I'm not sure what that means. So leave those default. That's display options. And the last main thing we have here is set video mode. So rendering preferred API if you want to use OpenGL or Vulkan or OpenGL ES. I don't know what that is. I'm just going to stick with OpenGL. The Vulkan API is a new thing and pretty new to OpenGL or to GZDoom. If you know for a fact that Vulkan is better than OpenGL, then please let me know. But for the sake of my playthrough and my setup, I'm just going to stick with OpenGL. Render mode, you want to use hardware accelerated, because if you use Doom software renderer, you get a lot less, the textures don't look as good. But there's also color SW renderer as options too. So when you cycle through them, you can kind of see how they look. Hardware accelerated is going to give you kind of the better blended textures. But if you want to use old school, then put it on Doom software renderer. But the hardware accelerator is basically going to be the I can't even say it now, GZDoom renderer. So use that if you want to get the cleanest, best look. Full screen, yes. No would be windowed mode. And then I want 16:9 aspect ratio, of course. Stretch. It doesn't change. There's no letterbox really. It's just stretching the image to be proportionate. And then what do you want, whether you want it customed or like literally like the wrong aspect ratio or normal. Custom. Custom and normal is the same thing when you're forcing these. But I'm leaving it on custom. Scale factor, just leave that at 1 for default. Vertical sync, yes, I would recommend that you put this on. If you have a G-Sync monitor, maybe you don't need this on because those are supposed to have V-Sync automatically applied. But otherwise, I would definitely say put this on. Do not force it through NVIDIA. Turn it on just through the game. Max FPS, I'm not sure what this is set on, but if you do set this to like your limit of like 60, which is 60 for me, you might have screen problems, delay, tearing, what do you call it, stutter. So make sure you at least put your max FPS in here to 250, the midpoint, and then turn vertical sync on. And you should be pretty good. You should have pretty smooth gameplay. Rendering interpolation on. In the case for me, probably for you, If this is off, the game will stutter and you'll get like 35 FPS, I think. It looks really bad and stutters really bad, so make sure you turn this setting on to get smooth gameplay and high and smooth FPS. Custom pixel scaling, that's why the resolution says scaling for me. It's because I'm making sure it's using 1920 by 1080 resolution, and use linear scaling full screen. Just say yes. And then I'm applying that to the full screen mode. Choose resolution presets. You can do that too if you like, but then I recommend that you come in here and manually adjust this stuff. So this right here should get you pretty decent settings for your video mode as well as your display mode here. These settings. I didn't even look at that. Let's look at that real quick. A hardware renderer. If you have like stereo 3D VR stuff, you can do stuff in here with that. That's just default. I'm not using that. Post-processing, you can turn bloom off. So like, it's barely on the lights, the light posts here, but if you look at the green strips, they're a little more brighter. They'd be even brighter if we're closer, so I recommend using bloom. Lens distortion effect, turn that off because it messes with the camera. Ambient occlusion equality, off. It does make things brighter, but it's more natural for it to be on. I would say either medium or high. I'm going to put it on high. You can see it on the walls there near where the lampposts are. Portals with AO. I'm not sure what this means, but it's on 4. FXAA quality off, low, medium, high, or extreme. This is your anti-aliasing method for pixelization. The game is meant to be pixelized, so you don't want to completely ruin that effect. I don't like FXAA in general, so I'm not going to use the setting. I mean, since I kind of am upscaling, because part of them, I'm using a mod that upscales the graphics and all that. And other settings I'm using is going to make the pixelization look a little better anyway. But I would maybe say use low or medium, but I'm not going to use FXAA because I don't like it. Dither output on, 6 BPC, 8 BPC, 10, 12 off. Just leave this. Leave it on. That's fine. It's not going to affect much. Tone map mode, Uncharted 2 makes it super dark. These are kind of like profiles for different color settings. Palette's the closest thing, but I would say leave it off. Tone palette, exponent 2.0, so if that was on, just this alter it any. Yeah, it changes it. Takes us kind of some of the, you can see it here when I have it on palette versus off. See, it kind of takes some of the, look at this square right here when I do it. It kind of, when it's in off, it has a little more definition, the texture. I think it looks a little better and it's a little more blended. So don't use palette mode, use off. And then you got tone map palette order, reverse and obverse. Reverse is the default, so just leave it there. Let me look at that. Yeah, just leave it on reverse. So there you go for post-processing options. Sector light mode, software, vanilla, or software, classic, faster. I recommend software because then you get a little bit better lighting and it makes the game not as dark. Vanilla makes it pretty dark. The game will be really, really dark if you use vanilla Doom settings. So, making everything a little more visible. Banded SW light modes, that affects banding. So like if you look here in kind of a half moon shape that I'm making here, you see a circle kind of form, like a half circle when it's on, kind of right here. See that kind of half circle appear? So I don't want to see that, so I'm using it all, leaving it off. Fog mode radial, that also brightens everything kind of in this perspective of the screen. It makes it super bright, so I don't think that looks good. I'm gonna leave it off. Or leave it on radial. Radial is what I'm saying. I think it blends things a little better instead of making it too bright. So put fog mode on radial. Standard's not enough. But I'd leave it on radial. Well, maybe not. Should I leave it on radial? No, leave it on standard. Yeah, standard. That darkens it too much. Fog forces full bright. Yes, no. No, see no change on that. So, just say no. Weapon light strength. So this is how much the actually put this on yes. I would say yes on that. Weapon light strength, how much the lighting reflects. I think 8 was the default. So leave it on 8. Environment map on mirrors, I'm not sure. Environment night vision mode, you get a night vision ability, so leave that on. ENV shows ENV shows stealth monsters. Always fixed color map, never infrared only. Enhanced night vision shows, okay. Infrared and torch, any fixed color map. Infrared and torch. Yeah, leave it on color map, I would say. Adjust sprite clipping, leave that on smart. What that does is when an enemy's like dead on the ground, if it's on never, like that right there, see the columns? They're kind of in the ground a little bit. Let's actually walk up here a little bit in the game. I can see it pretty well up here on the posts. Show you what the difference is with the setting. So never means it'll kind of be, things can kind of be stuck in the ground, like these posts. If it's on never, if it's on smarter, or actually if it's on always, they can kind of float above too much, but if it's on smarter, it'll help them kind of stick in the ground a little bit. See if it's on okay, there's smarter. Okay, you don't want to use smarter. Put it on yeah, you want to use smarter. Never hides some of the detail. Always can make it too visible, and smarter I think shows just enough. So I would say put it on smarter. Smooth sprite edges, makes them look a little less jagged, which is nice on the sprites. Fuzzy style, I guess how that smoothing is, or know how the fuzz is. This is on some, what this actually is, this is on some enemies that are kind of invisible. There's certain invisible enemies and they'll kind of be transparent. This is the effect that gets applied to those enemies. The fuzz style. Sprite billboard, I'm not sure. Yeah, this you want to leave it on off. If it's on, enemies and everything like these lampposts, they always try to face the camera and it looks weird, especially when you're moving. Particle style round versus smooth. Leave it on round. Rendering style quality over speed. You want things to look better. Menu blur. When you're in the menu, this will blur the menu, which I don't like. So just leave that off on 0. And then multi-sampling. This is always good to just put on 6x. It's going to give things a little more. You can put it on 32 if you want, but it'll give some things in the distance a little more definition. I would say just leave it on 16. 32 is a little overkill. So I hope I'm correct in thinking. Let me go up here and look. Trying to not spoil too much. Let's look at these things. Let's see how they look with that same setting. Okay, they're not really being affected. But you can see over here, just picked up another item. That's armor, a little head over there, like a helmet. There's a little blood pool of like a dead body. What's left of it over here. If you do it here, so you can see never makes it makes the items sink in, and always makes it kind of float a little above the ground. I think it makes it float a little too much, maybe. Whereas smarter, it sinks in a little bit, but I think it looks better smarter because when you see it on enemies, when it's on always, of course, never there'll be, see there's a smart too. There is a smart. There's never, all smart, always, smarter, and never. I just think that's going to be too much. Adjust sprite clipping always. I'm leaning towards smarter or always. We'll leave it on always for right now, so leave that there for now. Okay, did I miss anything else in display mode? Okay, we covered all that. Hardware rendering options. Software, if you are using that, which we're not going to be. True color options. Linear filter when downscaling on. Linear filter when upscaling off. Use bitmap textures. This would be default. All of this will be. Transparent render mode. Classic faster. Yeah. Sky render mode normal. Linear skies on. Full bright override sector color, scale fuzz effect, and models on. So these are all be default because I'm not using the software render, I'm using the hardware render, so I didn't change any of this. And then these would be the Vulkan settings. Vulkan ID 0 versus high dynamic range, and I didn't mess with any of these. Texture. See how blurry things become when you put linear on. We did look at these. Did I look at dynamic lighting? I think so. Yeah. I just managed to skip these two. Okay, so that leads what we need to finish back in with here. Video mode, OpenGL. We applied the full screen settings. Okay, open option search. So I guess you can search for options here. Let's look for max FPS. If we type that in, it's not letting me type. Okay, max FPS. Oops, I spelled it wrong. Still showed it though. So it takes you right to this other thing. Don't worry about it. We'll get into that. A little bit here. We're almost done. This is taking forever. So yeah, you can search for specific options in here. Simple options menu. We already said we want this set to off because we want the detailed options menu so that we can get into everything quickly and easily. So reset to defaults. This will reset everything we did to default, or reset to the last saved default. So when you get everything like you want it, click Save Current Settings and then say Yes. Go to console. We'll just take you to this. Oops. Browse game config. Didn't mean to do that, but it did it. Kicked us out, so we're back in the game. That takes you to where the config file is in the the game, the GZDoom INI. This will take you right to it from the game, but it minimizes the game and takes you to the folder. Browse screenshots, same thing. This will kick you out. The game will make a screenshot folder in the GZDoom folder if you have screenshots enabled and you make any. So this would kick you out and take you right to the screenshot folder. Same for saved games that you make or autosaves. This will kick you out of the game, not close it, but just minimize the game and take you to the folders where these things exist. The next things you're going to have here is, I'm going to go ahead and show you this because I'm not going to come back into the settings for the modding video because I'm going to cover it here now. Brutal, blood gleans, gore options. This is the blood mod, and this is the options for that mod. I want to cover that with you. Which mode are you playing, single or multiplayer? So you have to configure this based on which mode. Single player, multiplayer requires different settings for blood amount. Same thing, how much blood do you want to see? And then increase this if you are, I'll start this one first. So we're doing single player, so blood amount, server single player. So you have 5 different levels here for this blood mod. You have minimal, and then you have normal. You have Quentin Tarantino movie style blood or amount, anime blood amount, and then geysers of blood. So minimal would be less than the normal. This would be normal, like the normal game, I guess, without the mod. And then 3, Quentin Tarantino movie. This would be like the first level the mod would increase. And then anime blood and geysers of blood are crazy. So I recommend normal if you just want the mod active, but you want the normal Doom blood for a playthrough, the amount of blood. And then if you want to use the actual mod and you want it to look like a little crazy, but not super, super, super over the top, I recommend setting it to 3 for both multiplayer and single player. 4 is just 4 and 5 is just way too much and it looks kind of weird. And then minimal health for gibbing. Jibbing. When you gib a player, it means you basically do a critical or the final hit of damage, or you do a critical hit and you make them just explode and their body just explodes into pieces. Jibs, they call them. Not like the Bee Gees. It's like, you know, they're called the Brothers Gibb, but it's not like the Brothers Gibb, like Barry Gibb. It's not like that. It's jib. It's actually the word jib, but it's spelled G-I-B-B, same thing. But minimal health for gibbing, so jibbing. So they have to get to minus 20% health before that can happen, which it will happen at, you know, that, and you do like a big explosive damage, enough damage to completely kill them. When they have minus 20% health, basically they'll explode. So you can set this to minus 25. Always, this is really fun actually, that they'll always explode every time you kill them or hit them. The first hit will always jib. So if you put this on level 5 geysers of blood and always jib, it's going to be crazy, just a gore fest. But I'm leaving it at 20. I'm not sure what's the default actually. It might be 10. But it's 20. Max wall decals. How much blood, you know, can explode all over the wall whenever. And how much stay before they disappear. So I'm going to go with 5,102 and then max gibs and blood pools. So like that's a blood pool right there. So when you kill an enemy, if it disappears or not. This one's always here in the game because of it's just a placed blood pool for when you start the game. But when you kill an enemy, you're going to create a new one. So this is how many of those, you know, could be present before the game starts taking them away. And you can start at, you know, a minimum of none to 64 all the way up to 50,000. So that's a little excessive. So I'm going to go with like 5,000 for these. But yeah, this is like how much blood you want to see, and then increase the negative 20 up here. Increase this if you are seeing zombies being exploded by pea shooter bullets, or decrease it for maximum hilarity. Meaning if your handgun, you know, is killing enemies too much, you know, then you need to increase it to increase the damage that they need to, the damage they need to endure before they get gibbed. And then if you want just craziness, you know, just minus it down to as low as it can be. Always gib or 5%. And then if you put it all the way up here to like 100, you know, then that means basically you're going to have to do like all the damage up to 99% before they'll get exploded. So you want them to explode sometimes. I think 20 is a good range. And actually the default. Okay. So this will configure the blood mod if you choose so to use it. And like I said, regardless of anything, and if you come in here with it from the options screen, it's always in the options menu. And down here at the very bottom under these 3 green lines. If you don't want to disable it or deactivate the mod, just go in here and put the blood amount back to 2 on normal. Then it'll be just like regular mod or regular blood for this mod for Doom. But we want to have a little bit of fun, so we're going to use a mod. Of course, you'll see when we play. And then the very last thing here to cover, very last thing, is player setup. And luckily for us, we've already covered this. So I'm not entirely sure why this is down here too, but it is. Because if you go up here, you also see player setup up here, and we did it in the very beginning after these first 3. So it's the same thing. So I don't know why it's here, but it is. It's down at the bottom. So I'm going to go back into mouse options and I'm going to disable my mouse and menus because I don't want that there. And I'm going to save my current settings again just to be safe. And guys, this will conclude the in-game portion here of the config and tech video for Doom 1 Ultimate. Now we will go back into the end game segment of this config and tech video where we will finish things up before moving on to the modding video. Okay, I hope the majority of that was helpful and made sense. It was a lot of different settings and options to be sure. What we have left to do: explain, download, and install mods to all 3 games using GZDoom, finalize the GZDoom.ini file for all 3 games, make backups of the GZDoom.ini files for all 3 games, make a backup of the entire Doom root folder where everything is, and then apply the GZDoom.ini to the game you want to play. We'll do all of this in the modding precursor video next. Since GZDoom is needed to play Doom 1 and also handles the mods too, I wasn't sure how I was going to handle my normal config and tech video and modding video for Doom 1. This kind of information can blur together with some games, and the 2 precursor videos can overlap. Information in the modding video will be relevant to the config and tech video, so please watch that video as well, even if you are not interested in the mods. In the next video, we'll go over the modding stuff. If I didn't ASMR you to sleep and you found this information useful, please give the video a like and a comment. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye.